Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Zach Reynolds Jr. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Musically Hitched. Our wonderful guest is none other than the Miss Natalie Ragins. Natalie, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Zach.
So, Natalie, we've got a lot to discuss, and of course, this is Musically Hitched, so we're going to be talking about all things music, all things as they pertain to you. And one of the first questions that I like to ask all of our guests is about your origins, where you're from, and how did you get bitten by the music bug?
Well, I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. I was born in Grady Hospital. I'm a Grady baby.
Grady baby.
Went to Atlanta public schools. At a young age, maybe 3, 4, when you're in preschool, I was in the productions. I don't know. I just love music. But I didn't know I'd become a musician. I really liked entertainment. So I don't know. When I was 8, my mom purchased me this little organ. It might have been like that size, and I would play little notes on it.
Mm-hmm.
By 11, I was picking up songs off the radio, like Lean on Me. So by 12, I was still picking up a little too much to just it be too casual. So my mom informed me that, I've enrolled you into piano lessons. You begin next week, next Tuesday, starts at 6:30. Don't let them know you know. Learn all you can. God bless you. And I said, okay. By 13, I had my first job at a church playing for, the choir. And it just, took off from there.
Took off from there. So you weren't looking for the piano. You weren't, you were tinkering around with the organ that you mentioned. So it got your attention, but it was not like you weren't one of those kids that said, "Hey mom, I want to learn how to play this. I need lessons." This is just an experiment almost at first.
I just gravitated. I wasn't the 4-year-old playing like Mozart. No.
The prodigy. I got you. Right.
No, I didn't know if I were.
Mm-hmm.
I like performances. I remember that, but oddly, I feel I'm an introvert. But I did like stage. I did remember that. So like when I was 6, my mom enrolled me into this. It was like a summer it's like a weekend program. I don't even think it was during the summer, but it was held at a high school.
Mm-hmm. And
they gave I'm 6, so I'm assuming they were free. They were like community events. They offered classes like drama, gymnastics, art, just various extracurricular type of activities that were offered on Saturday mornings. And my mom took me there. She enrolled me in dance and gymnastics. Mm-hmm. I promise that I don't know why, but I was just a different little kid. I changed my schedule and I enrolled myself in art and drama.
Wow.
I don't know. So I was in gymnastics. I went to a few classes and dance, and so yeah, I think I want to do this.
Yeah.
So I draw a little, and drama. I don't know. I'm just around, I guess, some dramatic people. I don't know. Who knew I would end up playing for major theater productions or major plays? Who knew?
Right. Did you teach, or was that just a track that you were on at the time for school at UGA?
Yes. So I student taught, which was funny. That was months of not getting paid and doing the job of a teacher. And I got my degree. So it was I majored in language arts, social studies minor, middle school education. As you said, in my mind, I was like, well, I need something to fall back on in case music doesn't work out. And
mm-hmm.
It seemed to kind of work out.
Right. So you taught a little bit. You said student teaching. I know exactly what that's about. Teaching, doing the job of a teacher, but not getting paid. Tell me more.
Oh, about that?
Yeah.
It was fun. It was funny. I incorporated music in what I recall. This has been some years ago. Don't age me. But I remember incorporating like poems. So at the time, I'm younger. So they're in the 7th grade. The class that I'm student teaching is pretty much 7th graders. I want to say, I feel like I was there a long time. Maybe I remember them being in 7th grade. So poetry, you have inner city kids come on, what's the easiest way to get them to learn poetry?
Mm-hmm.
Rap.
Exactly.
So some of the presentations, so I incorporated a lot of the arts with to that, which I'm sure it's commonplace now,
Yeah.
but it was a little different. The person who, I guess, I forgot the title they called it, but we'll say advisor, person
Mm-hmm.
who oversaw, what I did. Uh, she, you know, she wasn't a kind of modern day. She was an older Caucasian woman who was like, oh, okay. So the kids, of course, enjoyed it. So I was like, well, some people brought out some of they could draw. So maybe
Yeah.
you can express this in this way. Do your book report, maybe pictures. How do you see this? So,
Mm-hmm.
we incorporated the arts. And I want to say she told me music is your path. It was kind of funny. It's like, I think you should go music.
Wow. This was who
And
was
I
this again?
was
Was this a coworker?
this was the teacher who was overseeing me. Like, you're in a
Kind of like
class
your
with an actual
mentor.
teacher. Yeah, the
Yeah.
mentor teacher.
Right.
That was the title they gave, but yes, mentor teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I was like, is she saying that's in my heart? Or is she saying I'm terrible at this language arts teacher? I never quite got like I never quite got accurate, like clarity.
Yeah.
So I said, well, you know what?
She was on to
I did a
something.
great job. Yeah, she was on to something, but I did a great job. Should have got paid, but that's how you got to do what you got to do. You got to pay your dues,
Mm-hmm.
get that degree. So
That's
it is
right.
what it is. So I said, well, I'll fall back on this. Let me try this music thing,
Yeah.
see what happens. And then, of course, social studies. I got to travel over the world, so you're meeting people, different ethnicities, different
Mm-hmm.
cultures. So that's fun to me.
Yeah.
Of course, various races of people. So I'm good. Like I have some really good friends who reside in Sweden.
Okay.
Not saying that wouldn't have happened because if I hadn't student taught, but I just feel that I was more open due to the path I took because I intentionally didn't go straight, what we call it, performing arts mode. So my
Right.
high school, it was considered a bougie high school at the time, but their tracking was more so engineering and applied technology. We
Okay.
just went because it was a really, really good school. They had a lot of Rhodes scholars, and we were the smart kids. So I was in the magnet program. So we basically represented how the school got, I guess, a lot of its accolades.
Mm-hmm.
The kids in my class, like Killer Mike was in my class. It was like
Really?
a lot of, yeah, it's kind of funny. Yeah, yeah. We had like the
Wow.
most likely to succeed person ended up being a millionaire. I think we kind of were a weird class. Like we knew what we really wanted to do already.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was I think we were a special class.
I would say
Yeah.
so. Yeah, you guys had some very, very gifted and purpose driven people in
For
that
those who
class.
don't know, Killer Mike is kind of a pun. Killer Microphone. He's a rapper. He didn't kill people. So I just want to bring
We're
clarity
gonna
to that.
clarify that, right?
His government name is Michael Render.
Exactly.
That's what we knew him as, Michael Render. But yeah,
Wow.
now he's an activist. And, you
Hmm.
see him have
Yeah.
people who are attorneys, people who are judges. Pretty proud class. However, I said that to say I didn't choose what is now called North Atlanta because I was like, I don't want to be with the weird kids. They call the creatives tend to be called weird. I want to be like the gothic kid. I want to be normal. So then when I went to UGA, I had the roommates. I had various races of roommates. Mostly, it might have been an even mix. African American, white, Asian.
Hmm.
So now I'm traveling. I'm already, and maybe my personality was just suited for what God had in store. I didn't know. It's like, but now I'm like, but it comes in really handy teaching skills like treating kids fairly,
Hmm.
i.e., treating bandmates fairly. You don't treat
Absolutely.
everybody the same. You learn personalities. That person might need a little more, hey, come on. The other person might need, hey, are you okay? What
Right.
happened today? Are
Absolutely.
you in a good place? So you just being aware, observant. I'm very observant, which I've been since probably birth.
This is fantastic, Natalie. So, I mean, we just opened up a can of worms on a lot of that right there.
Uh-oh. What do we do?
Do you know if your teacher, the teacher of that, was that a homeroom class? Like you and Killer Mike were in the same, was that like a homeroom class or was that a particular
We were
course
in
subject?
certain subjects. We weren't in the same homeroom because I think he went to the school by zoning. He was
Okay.
in the area. I went to the school, the magnet program kids. We were coming, you get into a program to get into the school. You take a test or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
We were in the school because we wanted to go to the schools, the Spoogie High School. At the time, Frederick Douglass High School. It's
Okay.
where Mayor Keisha attended. She's older than us. So I didn't know her, whatever.
Okay.
But yeah, at the time it was considered Douglas Mays, North Atlanta was where we knew that as a school where Jasmine Guy went. She attended there. At that time, I think this, different world is big or becoming big and whatever.
Wow.
And Crisscross, I was in. You remember the group Crisscross?
Of course, yeah.
I was in the homeroom with one of their Chris, the mixed. There was a mixed Chris and there was an African American Chris.
Right.
His older sister Jennifer. We were in homeroom like our whole high school career.
Ah, okay.
But Michael Render, I think we were in like maybe social studies. Mm-hmm. It could have been Spanish social studies or language arts, English. Yeah. I don't recall. I can't remember. One or both or three. But no, we weren't in the same homeroom.
Yeah, it was interesting. I was thinking, being a former teacher and you being one yourself, you learn, as you said, that you don't treat everyone the same. You love everybody. You care. You show concern for everybody. But everybody's not the same. So you do have to treat, people according to, their needs. You learn about diverse learners and you learn about, there's gifted. There's all these labels and terms that the school system throws out. But what it does is just tells you that, every person is an individual. You do learn that in the education system. And I think that I was just sitting there thinking about the teacher of the class that just you and Killer Mike alone in one class. I was like, man, I hope that teacher realized how important their words were. You and he both obviously are musically hitched individuals, may have gone different directions, but the music is the common thread. But everybody has origins. So thank you for sharing that. Wow.
Didn't know it even was going to be that. It just kind of came out. Yeah. Life is funny.
So when did you realize that music was going to be a way of life for you, Natalie? Like an actual career?
Very good question. I would say because I knew even before college.
Okay.
When I said, well, let me go and get this degree here in this, in case this music thing doesn't work out. Mm-hmm. Maybe I was ahead of my own mind. I don't know if I can even word it that way. I knew probably when I began getting checks, paychecks,
That's going to be one of my next questions is when do you remember getting your first check? Like, what was your first gig? Was it church or was it something else?
The church playing for the choir. Yeah, I got a check.
Okay.
He gave me the pastor. So the person I was taking piano lessons from, he was the minister of music, as we use that term, at the church that I attended. My mother and I attended.
Right.
I was raised around. She had two more kids, two sons. They were older. I'm 13. I'm 13. My oldest brother had gone to the military. Marco was now Dr. Marco Allen Ragins. He's a pharmacist now. So he went a whole different route after 20 years in the military. And he's a pharmacist. So, okay. And my middle brother, middle brother Marlon, he was into DJing or whatever, but they did not like church. It is what they didn't like that church. We will pull up. It's a true story. And I hate that I'm snitching. I don't want to call it snitching. We're pretty older now. So, because I didn't snitch. So anyway, I thought they were pretty bold. We would go into church. They sit there maybe 5 minutes. They would leave. They were done. I would stay. Mm-hmm. So fast forward. So I'm at piano lessons. The piano teacher, who's the minister of music at the time, he has a baby brother they're much older than me. The baby brother is probably like 16 years older than me. So if I'm 12, he's 28, something like that.
Right.
he played the drums at the church. So he would come by because the piano lessons was at their parents' home, their mother and father's home. So when I got really good, if we'll call it, the teacher said, well, I think it's time that you're a bit advanced for my class or whatever. So I'm at the church kind of messing around on the piano.
Mm-hmm.
His baby brother, Michael, says, hey, y'all need to listen to her. 12, 13. Y'all need to listen to her. She can really play. And they're like, oh, okay. He's like, no, y'all need to listen to her.
Mm-hmm.
So if you recall, I told you I was picking up songs off the radio anyway. I was
Right.
picking up songs. Like he was teaching me, go tell it on the mountain.
Yeah.
I'm out here picking out songs from the Thompson Community Choir, with the whole little whatever, the whole little production or whatever. So I'm a bit more advanced. So the pastor heard me one day and said, I think it went similar. I have another friend actually. He was there. He was a choir director. He said that I don't remember this part of the story, but we'll go with it. He said that he said, hey, y'all need to hire her to play for the choir. I don't know. I just remember the scene where Michael, the baby brother, said, hey, y'all need to hear her. And within a few weeks, all of that could have totally happened. But the scene I remember, that happened. It went that way. The other one, we called behind the scene. I got a job and I was getting like $100 or something. And then what got funny, my choir load increased, but the $100 kind of stayed a little. It wouldn't really shift. So I probably had a little comedic side. Okay, I might have a little sarcasm. Okay, I probably had a lot. I was basically like, hey, I think we should get a little more money. And she was like, oh, they giving my baby. I'm like, Mom, I'm playing for like 5 choirs now. I think we should up. So it eventually went up to an amount, and then other opportunities blossomed from that, like other opportunities, i.e. I might play for a wedding here, of course, funerals there, another church. Our house literally growing up was next to a church. So sometimes I would be at home. I promise. I won't name the person. This lady, she would come knock on the door and ask my brother Marlon, because my oldest brother, he's in the military. He's gone. Okay. Like, Marlon, is Natalie here? We say, Nat, so-and-so wants you. Can you come on up here and play for the church? We have $75. Okay. And I'll just literally walk from my driveway over to like the church. It's like a little hill. A little hill. Knock on the door, they open the door, and I'm right there. It was very close.
Let me ask you this. Michael, right?
Yes.
What do you think, or maybe how long, because it doesn't necessarily mean just because we miss an opportunity doesn't mean we've missed our destiny, doesn't mean we've missed our purpose. Some things do come around again. They may not be the exact same opportunity again, but sometimes we get another one. What do you think would have happened, or how much longer do you think it would have taken for you to reach your destiny, at least at that stage, if Michael hadn't said, you really need to listen to her for real?
That's good. Well, if the other person, whose name was Eric, if what his story was allegedly so Eric was a choir director / choir member. And at that time, they're all older than me. So he's probably, Eric, might be 8 or 9 years older than me.
Okay.
So what I'm still 12, 13, it means he's 21, something like that. And his aunt, it's just funny, I guess, how God works and how things just fall into place. His aunt worked with my mom. So when I began playing the piano a little, my mom said, hey, there's Jeannie has a nephew. Y'all need to meet. He sings with the young adult choir. Something. You need to meet him. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. So I guess it was just destined to happen. But that's a great. So yeah, if Michael hadn't said that, I don't know, because Michael was very instrumental. He would take me around. He wanted me to hear better musicians. So I would ride around with him. He played at another church, and I get to hear some other people, other styles. So I'm just absorbing like a sponge. I'm absorbing what I'm hearing. So yeah, that's a great, like, would that, any of that had even happened?
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
I know that's a great question. However, Eric said that he's the one who I called behind the scenes, kind of put my name. I'm 13, so it's like, they say like, put a good word in for me. I'm a kid.
Yeah, yeah.
So if his story is solid, he said that he was like, hey, y'all need to hear her.
Mm-hmm.
What I will say, I played on my first album. I was 13. They, not my, the church recorded an album. I think I was 13, 14.
Wow.
And
13.
he said that's what he was talking about. He said that he was like, y'all need to let her play this song. So I played like 2 songs on the album. So like I said, I was a little different kid. But
So
that's a
that's
great point. I don't know. It's a lot of people. I truly believe God places a lot of people in our lives or in our path.
mm-hmm.
So if not Michael, it could have been Eric. If not Eric, could have been Tanya. If not Tanya, could have been Michelle. If not Michelle, it could have, I really believe that.
Right.
I'm grateful though.
It's interesting. We've had several guests and interesting people. We don't know the role that we play. Sometimes we don't, we don't plan that, and so I just think he was obviously a conduit, but he was only one piece of the puzzle. But we just never know. One word, one introduction, one chance, somebody was late, somebody got sick. You never know,
Whereas
and the
Tyler
door
Perry
opens.
says,
So
one yes.
that's all it takes, right? How many instruments do you play? I know that you're a keyboardist extraordinaire. You play organ. So do you play other instruments, or still did you play other
Publicly,
instruments?
I I dabbled at the drums. I do love drums. I may or may not have played drums sometimes. I may or may not have switched off with the drummer at the church when we were like teenagers and we wanted to switch on a song. I might have gone to the drums and he
Yeah, yeah,
came
yeah.
to the keyboard, that we were the earlier versatile musicians. I
Mm-hmm.
might have a guitar that I
Now,
might play a little on just to, when I would do more like when I'm writing, I want to hear something, I'll play, or something I like, I'll try to find it on guitar. Uh, you know, I actually, saxophone was my first instrument.
really?
Well, if you don't count the 8-year-old kid doing like this. Yeah, in middle school, I played the sax
So the first instrument that you actually took
publicly.
publicly, started learning to play, took lessons on, got instruction on was saxophone. Is that
Hmm.
correct?
In
Okay.
school, yeah, the band. I was,
Mm-hmm.
some class. What they call it, band.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
band
Mm-hmm. So do
in
you?
middle school.
I assume that you learn to read music through band? Did you learn or over time through another instructor combination?
More so, I wouldn't put cantatas or whatever, move too many movements in front of me because my ear just out. It kind of surpassed my reading skills. So
Right,
I had
right.
basic, I would say basic, definitely charge theory, yes. Hymnals, I just have to review it
Mm-hmm.
way before, but yeah. So I do okay. But yeah, saxophone was actually the first. I was like maybe 6th grade.
You had access to the church, so
Yeah, I was thinking about that today. I want to say I had a key. I would get on the train, catch the bus, and sometimes I just go to the church.
right. So in essence, that kind of gave you another outlet away from home to practice. Obviously, your mother
Yes.
had you in a situation where you could practice at home, but you having that kind of access, let's just call it the key. Keys we know represent a form of responsibility. So, how do you think even something that small may have helped you develop into the musician you are today?
That's amazing that you even put it like that because even sitting here now, I'm thinking, wow, they trusted me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a
Early.
teenage kid. Yeah, early. Like I've shown people that I'm trustworthy. I'm not bringing some goons inside to go
Yeah.
rip off the
Right.
church.
Right.
And I'm not thinking that way. I want to say I had a key. And then even just leaving me in a room by myself to just freely do whatever as far as musically play whatever, we
Yeah.
trust you. I think it was a lot because so with that, I guess I had just a deeper discipline
Okay.
than many because I wanted to be better. So like Sundays, I would get at that time the tape or the CD of the service because I want
Mm-hmm.
to fast forward to the part where I'm playing. So I want to hear, what did I do? What can I
Mm.
do better? How
Wow.
can I, you know, how can I approach this differently? I was doing that, I know, like 14, 15, 16, like until I went to college.
Wow.
I was so the key you mentioned that it was that's deep, like access.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Because everybody doesn't have that. It's like some people have. I
And that's
remember,
priceless.
stories. I played a lot of basketball growing up, and I remember hearing stories of people like Larry Bird, for example, had his coach gave him a key to the gym, and he said one of the ways he learned to be a fantastic shooter was he would go after hours because he would have to wait, of course, until school was everybody was off campus, right? And so he would wait until everybody was done, all teachers go home, principals go home, lights out, dark. But he was afraid to turn the lights on. And I remember this story. So he had a key to the gym, but he wouldn't turn the lights on because he didn't want to look suspicious at night, like if the cops came by. But
Wow.
there was a window that was open in the gym. I'm a sports junkie and a basketball head too. So, but the window's open and the moonlight,
That might be a little similar.
you might be too. The
I
moonlight
might.
is the light in the gym, Natalie, and
Wow.
that's the only light that's there. So he's like, I realized that if they gave me a key, I had access, and as long as the moon gave me just enough light to see where the
Come
rim
on.
was, if I can light it up in here at night in the dark, what's going to happen
Imagine
on
that.
Friday nights when the lights turn on?
That's funny. That's
Isn't
really
that?
good. That's
Yeah.
good.
So that key is critical to your development more so than we might want to give credit to at the moment, because without it, there's Malcolm Gladwell talks about the 10,000 hour rule in the book Outliers, and how to become great at anything. You've probably heard this before. You got to put at least 10,000 hours in. Now, I know you
Wow.
put in well more than 10,000 hours. The only question is, how quick do we arrive at that 10,000 hours? And so you started early, getting paid at 13, and now you've got a key. So that's a lot of hours that you could put in that probably were undocumented, but got you to, I'll say you're a great musician for sure. Got you to greatness probably a lot earlier than, say, had you not had the key.
Wow. And that's funny. Even in my practices, I would close my eyes sometimes because I could just envision the keyboard without seeing it.
Wow.
And I would just kind of practice in every key, whatever I'm working on, I would practice it in every key or like look away. I still notice I do that now. So
Habit.
because I see it, I can
Mm-hmm.
see it. I don't have to see it. If that, so I
Yeah.
think that might have helped with my speed. I don't know,
Yeah.
or my being clean. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was just something you reminded me of it when you mentioned Larry Bird. Like basically, you practicing in the dark,
Mm-hmm.
which is
Mm-hmm.
pretty awesome.
Yeah.
He was a what do you call that, marksman,
Yeah.
sharpshooter.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure he gave the Lakers a fit for years. So absolutely, he was one of the marksmen. What about mentors? You mentioned some people already that were pivotal in your development in the early years. Um, do you have musical mentors to this day? If you don't have any currently, who were your music mentors when you were coming up?
He, being the only girl raised at the home where I was raised, I don't know if it was like I was the only. I don't feel like I was like the only child, but some people view it that way. I spent a lot of time alone, so I guess I would imagine a lot. So in my mind, not in a crazy way, in a creative way. In my mind, it's like I would just study. Like at a younger age, I like Joe Sample. I would study his music. I like, as far as gospel funny thing, Kevin Bond. I think I
Mm-hmm.
got hip to Kevin later in my teen years or mid later, like with Tri City Singers,
Yeah.
Bible stories. I was just like kind of blown away. Like, who is this?
Kevin
So
has
I would,
another. Kevin is another one of those in the dark people. Kevin
right.
has said that
Okay.
numerous times that he practiced, and particularly his left hand, he practiced with
Yeah.
his left hand in the dark, and that's what
Wow.
made him
Never knew.
yeah. So
So yeah, in my mind, so it was like gospel. I'm listening to him. Chick Corea was amazing to me. As far as my jazz, it is.
yeah.
There's so many people, but as far as an in-person mentor, I had there was a person at church named Lee. He would also, I mean, they would be my ride home because clearly I'm 13. I don't have a license. So Mike and Lee, that's kind of how I mostly ended up with them. They they were my ride home because my mom would be like, "Now who wants you to play where?
Right.
They
Right.
can't come get you." All right. let me know. Call me last. Call you last. You're my mom.
Mm-hmm.
So she was in this teaching me independence in case she wasn't around.
Mm-hmm.
So back as far as mentors, like musically, like I say, in my mind, Kevin was one of them. But I don't know if I have just a personal person I can call. I can think I just will start calling people. There's a
Yeah.
person who has a music institute here, Sue Hampton. When people ask about piano lessons, I'm quick to refer them there.
Right.
So she would be. I guess I can call her one
Mm-hmm.
because she was doing what I had been wanting to do. You know, she's playing the organ, playing the piano. She's playing with the guys. She's great at what she does. She has, I don't know, her vibe, her swag, she's killing it. So why
Mm-hmm.
not? I don't there was another musician, I think James Brown I liked. So it was more like they weren't in my reach,
Mm-hmm.
my but my musical reach they were. So
Yeah.
I would just, try to get the music that they had been on and check out. But in person, I would say Sue Hampton. There was nobody who was like, okay, mentee, come along. And
Right.
I always
Right.
felt like, I need a mentor.
Mm.
So I would just do what I could, get certain periodicals, reading, get books, go to Guitar Center, a little guitar section, grab books, kind of help me with, sight reading, help me with, my theory. Then eventually, like high school, I think I was playing. I played a little with the jazz band because the jazz band teacher didn't know I played. Nobody knew I played the piano. So
Really?
remember that at a music high school, it's
Just a
pushing more
yeah, it's more
education.
like it would be kind of
Yeah,
like a STEAM high school or STEM school today, right?
I
Where
guess
you went?
today, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, engineering and applied technology. They ain't thinking about the arts because I'm not there for the arts. I'm
Right.
there because I didn't want to go to the school in my neighborhood.
Right.
I was like, no, thanks. Which eventually became one of those which schools you're talking about now. So, which is funny. So they didn't know I played. Only
Mm.
people knew the people at my church or some friends I had at school who knew about it. So it was, I think they found out when I was maybe in 11th grade. Because I told you my first time playing for pay or whatever, I'm 13. So there are quite a few years before when everybody knew. So they might have known when I was 17, people might
Mm-hmm.
have found out.
Yeah. That's a long time. So you've been playing for a minute, but people don't know, and
Mm-mm.
that can catch people off guard. But at some point along this musically hitched journey that we're on and that our listeners are on, it becomes obvious. We talked about getting bitten by a bug, earlier on, but just like I know, you and I both know, if a mosquito bites you, you're gonna start scratching in a certain area. It's gonna swell up. Eventually other people are gonna know that you got bit as well, right? Because you're gonna be showing
Okay.
it and you're gonna be swelling. So that's powerful stuff. You're from Atlanta. You're a Grady baby, as we already discussed. Uh, why did you stay in Atlanta? Because a person like you at this point, you could probably move to anywhere in America, possibly the world, and people would still call you. Why have you made Atlanta your permanent home?
I wanted to go to DePaul University, DePauw, not the DePaul in Chicago. I wanted to go to DePaul University. It was in Indiana.
Okay.
And my mom was like, she's funny. She said, but you don't have a car. And I'm thinking, right, give me a car. And it's, what are you going to do in the winter when it snows? Because we did a visit. Me and some of the high school students went. Like, some people ended up attending. One of our friends, who's now a judge, I think in DeKalb County, Asha Jackson, she ended up attending undergrad there. And my mom convinced me, well, why don't you go to school somewhere near? That's how I ended up attending the University of Georgia. But I had applied to various schools and I was accepted, like Howard, Hampton, FAMU, like
Yeah.
those schools.
You were a scholar. You were a musician and a scholar.
Don't do me like that. I'm a
Yeah.
scholar. Yeah, I could have. By high school, so you asked me earlier, I kind of figured out like, okay, I see where this is. I think I kind of see where this is going.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so I said, I don't want to be here. I don't really want to be here. Like, I love you all, but I'm kind of good.
Okay.
She convinced me to attend the University of Georgia. So it was like far enough in Athens, Georgia, but it
Mm-hmm.
was close enough to be like near home, I guess, where
Right.
she felt okay. Because, it's about how she felt.
At that
So
time, right.
right. And then I toyed with the idea of New York. It was a serious thing in my mind. Like I toyed with that, New York and LA.
Mm-hmm.
I felt I could fit in both, even though they both were like the triple the cost of living of Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
So
Of course.
LA, I know some people are like, oh, it's too fake. I loved it.
Okay.
Still do. Like I feel very comfortable there. New York, it kind of that love. I don't want to say love. Like certain things I like there, but living there, I think I'm kind of over it. Unless God grants me the opportunity to become a filthy rich millionaire, and then I can just have a summer home in the Hamptons, or just go visit
Yeah.
here and there.
Right.
So when I began traveling or touring, I got, as you say, the itch kind of
Mm-hmm.
got was able to scratch. So I got to travel overseas, do a lot of trips to various continents, Africa, Europe, and in various countries there, Sweden, um, heck, where did I go? As far as like Africa, we went to South Africa, Nigeria, Ghana. I mean, my first trip to Africa was French Ivory Coast, Abidjan, Cote d'Ivoire. So it's like, okay. And I got to, just South America. It's like, okay, I got my thirst kind of quenched. So
Yeah.
home became it's the place I pay my bills and I just sleep. And then I'll really settle down. Clearly I'm a party type. Yeah, sure. No, I'm not. I'll settle down when I get married. So that became my go-to line. Like, okay, well, when I get married, we'll see where we'll stay.
Right.
And then I noticed I'm still here. Then I'm touring again. We're 10 years in touring. Like,
Mm-hmm.
wait, I still live here. So that's kind of, as my brother said Sunday, we were chatting, like, the story isn't finished. The book is not over.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. But as of now, that's how I ended up still in Atlanta.
So talk to me about we just hopped into the touring topic. You
Okay.
are a touring musician, have been for years. Tell me about the realities of life as a touring musician. We got a lot of people and a lot of listeners that are going to be listening to this episode, and they're going to want to know, okay, if anybody's been on a tour, Natalie has. She's got the skinny on what it's like to make a living as a musician, particularly on the road. So talk to us about the realities of life as a touring musician.
Let's see. I'll jump in a few areas. You need to be able to compromise because you're going to be living with various people of all walks of life, and they may not have the same values you have. They may have better values than you have.
Mm.
You have to be respectful. You have to be very respectful of people's space. And touring life is it's a different animal. It's like you're out there. Let's say you're doing something that's supposed to be, I don't know, Thursday through Sunday. In my position, let's say you get there Wednesday. In my experiences, you're kind of bound a little to whatever you've agreed to, opposed to being at home. Oh, girl, I'm at home sleep. I can't make it back over there for rehearsal. You're kind of bound to where you are. So if they're
Mm-hmm.
saying so and so wants, we have an emergency rehearsal. We need to run this. There's something going on with the building, or they want to change the song. You have to be accessible.
Mm-hmm.
So with touring, to me, in my situation, you get a lot of freedom, but you have to have a lot of discipline. So remember, I mentioned the key earlier. It's funny that even tied in. You have to be very responsible because mama not gonna be there, daddy not gonna be there to wake you up. You got to be very responsible. If the call time is 2 hours ahead, that's
Mm-hmm.
the expectation. The
Mm-hmm.
call time is 2 hours ahead. You don't get there 45 minutes before rushing in. You might be sent home because things happen because you're at
Yeah.
a venue. The setup may be different. You just need to be prepared. The whoever you're touring with, they might want to change things up. Musical
Mm-hmm.
director want you want people to feel comfortable. You don't want people to feel antsy around you or about you.
Right. So talk to me about people's personal space on touring. I remember one time I was on a show with a band, and we were going to Kansas City, and I remember that on this flight, Cameo were on the same flight, and I just remember there was, it wasn't a big crew. It was like pretty much the rhythm section, but I noticed at the gate, these are legendary musicians. They're veterans. They've been all around the world. But I noticed that all the musicians were all in different parts of the gate. As tight as they were as a band, I realized how much physical distance they were giving themselves at the gate at the airport. And I was like, there's a reason for that. And so my question for you is, or tell me more about space, because a lot of people don't understand why that's important.
I mean, you're married, right? I don't want to put you on the spot, but they say I'm not married yet. So they say sometimes you kind of want your space, in a sense of, where's your wife? Oh, she's out with the girls tonight. Or where, I'm going to go hang out with the guys. Look at it that way. I don't want to mess up situations. Like, you get tired of people. You see them every day. It's not that deep. It's like, oh my God, I got to see you again. We playing these same songs. I'm tired. You've seen those shows, 5 Heartbeats, Temptation. That's real out there. Like, oh my God, I'm tired of you.
Yeah. There is a such thing as overexposure, even to people that you love, is what you said.
And even, I was going to say, even like with family, you're like, okay, mom, stop. You when you're a kid, oh, I can't wait till I get out of here. I can't wait till I'm on my own, pay my own bills. And then 20 years later, oh God, I hate adulting. So, yeah, it's some of that. It could be anything.
I just noticed it. I actually appreciated it. I thought it was good because the particular group that I was in at that time, everybody was pretty much, we were literally physically close. And I was like, so being physically close does not necessarily translate to chemistry or tightness or even longevity on the road. You can be yourself as a musician, because we spend a lot of time alone anyway. And like even as you talked about your childhood, and I was thinking about how much time you have spent probably alone on the road, in airports, on buses, trains, etc. You were prepped early, back to that key again, to spend time by yourself, working and perfecting your craft, not even realizing that one day, like you said, you're going to be in a hotel and you're going to get a call time that's 2 hours earlier than it is. And you're going to have the self-discipline to get up 2 hours earlier, even though you want to sleep in, to get down to the bus so you can get to the next stop, get to the airport, next city. You got to be able to do that in order to tour successfully. And if you can't do that, what happens to you, Natalie?
Typically get sent home. My situations, they don't really take those risks, especially, how do I say this? You're the musician, and you're not even the, what do they call it, principal actor.
Right. Yeah.
Get somebody else running.
You can be you're right. You can be replaced.
Came
right?
in filling it. I came in on a replacement, and the play that when I began traveling with the plays, I came in as a replacement of someone who was kind of told, all right, thank you. The next stop, we're gonna drop you off.
Wow.
God bless you. So I came in that way. I met people in the prayer circle before the show. I just was sent the music. So it's like, hey, come on.
We often take for granted opportunity, and we don't want to do that, particularly on this side of the pandemic, coming back to music and getting to commune and convene again together, particularly around the idea of touring. It's healthy to have a reminder that not only do people need space, but if you don't do what you're supposed to do when we do have to get together, there's always somebody else that's waiting, that's in the wings. Somebody's being prepared. Somebody else is is shedding in the church or in the basement right now. There's somebody else just got a key for the first time, and they're waiting on those opportunities. So space is important for basic professionalism. Some things are just transferable across industries, and the musician world in the touring world is no exception. So it sounds like to me, I'm hearing you say that logistics are important, or if you want to be a professional musician, you need to understand logistics. You need to understand people's skills,
Yeah,
time
yeah, because
management,
you're
etc.
on tour buses, sometimes you don't get to stop at a hotel. So you
Right,
get in your bunks
right.
and you have to control like certain foods. You probably shouldn't eat Mexican food before a long road trip. Like, just certain things because you can't, you're in
That's
these bunks and you have to, things happen. Some people are drinkers, some people aren't.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Some people had too much to drink. They have to, use the assistance of the in-house toilet.
mm-hmm.
This is various situations. So you're
Do
in a
you?
lot of close proximity. Yeah, that proximity, if these personalities clash, it's a little challenging, but I kind of keep to myself. And you meet people that you bond with for life, you're going to be friends with for life. And some people, it's like, oh boy, can't wait till this is over.
It's okay, in other words, to not be in people's face all the time on the tour, especially when you know it's going to be months at a time on the road. Even if it's just a weekend, we're going to have there's time together and then there's time apart. Both are necessary. Both should be taken seriously. So let's jump into some of the tours that you've done. For example, I know you've worked with the one and only Mr. Tyler Perry. So is there anything that you would say to someone who aspires to tour? Let's say they even aspire to tour with Tyler Perry. Is there anything or any advice that you would give someone to where, hey, if you get the shot, make sure you do this, make sure you don't do that? Just again, more tour housekeeping thoughts you'd like to
Be
share?
on time, do your job, mind your business.
Hmm. Be on time.
3,
Do
do your
your
job,
job.
mind your
Mind
business.
your business. Enough said.
I mean, yeah, it's pretty. That's pretty. Those are the 3 things that come to mind for me first.
Hmm. Awesome. How do you prep for a tour? And this is a musical question as well as let's say wardrobe question. How do you prep for tour?
It depends on the tour. Some tours have an in-house wardrobe person that works for everybody. Some it's like you're on your own. You just know, okay, we're gonna be wearing black, and you just make do like, what kind of black? I don't care if you got on an evening gown. They don't care as long as it's black. You want to wear your Air Force Ones as long as they're black.
Uh-huh.
Or then it may get a little looser. It depends on. So prepping depends on how soon ahead I got the call. Some
Mm-hmm.
calls might be a few weeks before we're out there, and you
Mm-hmm.
might have some responsibilities you need to kind of give people, a little heads up, get a replacement for if you've agreed to do the tour. So
Right.
for me, if I got a call today for a tour, what month we're in? We're pretty much in July, and the tour is going to kick off September. Well, I don't know if I would get a call that soon. They're usually like, "Hey, I heard we might be, out
Mm-hmm.
again," and then you get a confirmation call maybe 2 weeks before, a week before. So prepping depends on the production. What do I mean? It depends on the production. Like I've had an opportunity to work with like an Adam Blackstone,
Mm-hmm.
and I've gotten a call to do a few things with his camp. Preparation is different than if I get a call from like, oh, Mr. Ronnie Garrett.
Okay. How so? What's the difference that you're making?
Example that's really notable with Adam. From my experiences, I might have he's a more, I guess he would be more hands on.
Mm-hmm.
Ronnie is probably a little more laid back. What do I mean? Adam, I might have a folder that has the production title on it and has my information, my information, my music. Ronnie, it might be, and it depends on, like I said, the production, the actual production. Ronnie's the MD. Adam is the MD. So the production heads, there are other people who make this thing go.
Right.
So in a Ronnie situation, I might kind of make my own notes and kind of go as we go, like bring my charts. So
Mm-hmm.
it's different.
Okay.
It makes it more flexible, hands-on kind of. Okay, we're gonna vibe it and see, fill it out.
Hmm.
Whereas another production might be a little more, this is what it is. We may shift here, but this is what it is. We have a playback person. It's already in place. Um, Here's the music. This is what that artist is doing. This is what that artist is doing. And running, it's a little more, probably more freer. Like, okay, they haven't written that song yet, so it is different. Just
Hmm.
different. That's probably quick example of a difference in, I guess, productions that I have experienced
Hmm.
that were, I guess, I don't say night and day. One was kind of, hey, here. So I guess it's like having a sedan opposed to having a Jeep. It's all about, you can prefer either, but sometimes that production may be more of a suited, booted, like clear, concise. And then the other one may be a vibe. And then I might do something else. It might be more of a vibe. But
Okay.
those are the two things I've noticed, like, hey, here, this is what you're responsible for. Well, what are we doing here? Well, we're gonna, see, fill it out. We're gonna, still working at it, kind of.
I think that's good. Basically, what you're saying is that different leaders,
Yeah.
musical directors, production executive producers, different people have different personalities, different leadership styles, management styles.
Yes.
And your job as the person who got the call is to discern that, figure that out. And like you said, you don't want people feeling weird around you. So whatever works for, in that case, whatever works for Ronnie, give Ronnie what he needs if you want to
Yes.
stay on the job, right? If Adam needs this, do that. Don't try to make
Yes.
Adam be Ronnie. Don't try to make Ronnie be Adam. And you'll probably end up working a lot longer just as the person who was brought in. Is
Yeah.
that a safe assumption?
That's a very good way to word it. And a word that came to mind was versatility. Would
Versatility.
it be versatile? Yeah.
Absolutely. So, what about as a keyboard player? This is just another prep question. What about how do you, when you listen to music for the first time, let's say Adam just gave you the book of songs, right, for the award show. How do you go about selecting the patches that you're going to use on the show? Because I'm pretty sure he's not telling you as a professional keyboardist, here's exactly what I want you to dial up on this keyboard. You have to be experienced enough where
It
he,
might.
oh, he
Yeah, it
might?
depends
Okay.
on if it's something he wants to hear that's not in it. He might want you to double something that's in the track.
Okay.
And you would know that until he's, or you might, but that's preference. You know what I mean? That's
Mhm.
style.
So do
So
you personally pick out your own patches, and then if they ask you to change it to something specific, if they're familiar with the keyboard, you'll change it?
yeah,
Okay.
that would, or like, how is this? And then sometimes I could just say it could be just descriptive. Like if I'm playing aux, I'm picking out aux parts. If
Mhm.
I'm playing piano,
What's aux
if
for
I'm
people that
playing
may not
organ,
know? For people that may not know what aux is.
auxiliary sounds other than the main keyboards or the main organ or certain instruments. So they would be what we call bells and whistles, like
Strings.
chime,
Right.
strings,
Hmm.
flute, I don't know, brass, assistants, because we love live horns, whatever, synth, sound effects,
Hmm.
various things. Those are usually, you enhance what's going on.
Right. And a lot of people sleep on aux. Aux is just as important as
It's
main
just as
keys,
important.
as important as
Yes.
bass, as important as background vocals. Sounds that it's sound design. Every like
Yes.
that literally is probably the easiest way, or what people, it's a fancy way of saying it these days. But aux is in essence sound design. Those missing bells and whistles, ear candy, whatever you want to call them. When they're not there, it's just as noticeable as if the main keys is not there, depending on the level of the production or that particular artist's music. Would you agree or disagree?
I agree. I agree.
Some of the challenges in the industry, there are many, but I wanted you to talk from your perspective as a female in this industry. You've had longevity for some time. I believe you will continue to do so. What have been some of your greatest challenges being female in what is often a male dominated industry?
Well, you say that again. That's been a challenge. Sometimes it's a challenge when so I try to flip it with some of my male friends. It's like, think about it. Think if, I know you love women, and think about if you're the only guy in the band. And that's cool. You like, oh. But then after day 333, you're the only guy in the band. Let's say this is probably a petty example. And I guess let's say you're a heterosexual guy and a guy walks by and you got like 8 other people in the band and the women like, oh my God, did y'all see him? It's so they ain't paying you no attention.
Right.
They like, so it's like, did y'all see him? And then they depending on their comfort level, they may get descriptive. Like, how much of that do you really want to hear? 300 days, well, it's 365 days a year, 200 days a year.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Or like not, you don't realize things till you put in the minority situation. I don't speak. You know, people who had never had to be minorities. So stop there, huh? They may feel privileged. We use the word entitled. Mm-hmm. They don't understand the plight of a minority. So I would consider the minority in the band sector.
Right. Very good point.
But if you're not privy to that, you don't what? I mean, we treat you like you don't feel it because you've never been the only in your area. So for me, I guess I got prepped growing up with my 2 older brothers, kind of. It's just like, I mind my business. What I said, do my job. Oh, okay, y'all going to do that? All right. Make sure I have my music prepared. Mm-hmm. Make sure I'm doing what I need to do. It's pretty much, cool. Don't be that, what do we call it? The company jerk. Kind of. Yeah, the company jerk. Like, I used the word earlier, like, snitching, always, something's always bothering you. Like, you always irritated. No, just chill, do your job. Cool. It's some great people, You bond with some, don't bond with some.
Correct.
And I am not perfect at this, it's trial and error. Mm-hmm. You're going to run into some challenges. But for me as a woman, I just, it's kind of funny. Like, I might, hang out with some of the singers or some of the cast or, mix it up. Right. But I'm not hanging out with a group of guys, doing whatever they do. I've learned to kind of adapt, do my thing. What time is call time? I'll see you all. Oh, Nat, won't you come hang out with us? Maybe, maybe not. And I'm okay. And they respect me. I respect them. And, we usually okay.
Very good. I mean, that's awesome because I think that, obviously, this industry has always been a certain way about certain things. And when it comes to gender, I think that, you have a tremendous amount of experience that would help not just female listeners, but male listeners to understand. I think that was a fantastic point. Just imagine if you were the only male and it was flipped and it was female dominated. If that happened or if that was said, would you be comfortable? Would you say it? Would you have responded that way? Because it's community. A tour is nothing but it's a community of people. Sometimes it can be 5 people. It could be 500 people, depending on who the artist is and the size of the production. So, we got to be conscious. That personal space thing is a very real thing, and understanding the etiquette of touring is what we're talking about right now. How to stay on tour, the whole time, right? Because you can be sent home for a lot of reasons, and being insensitive to your fellow man or fellow woman, right, could be a problem real quick.
The conflicts are, that's life. Conflicts are going to happen. Just how we, resolve. You've been in the teaching field. We talked about being fair and kind of knowing how to accommodate or adapt or kind of treat certain people. Some people might be very temperamental.
Right.
Some people might have bad tempers. Some people might be, laid back, or they call them silent killers.
Right.
Like you think they're cool, but they out here snitching to the boss. Hey, Natalie doing that. I think we should get somebody else. Or some people are just blatant. I don't like you. Why are you on this tour? What was wrong with the person we had? You gotta have tough skin.
They want you to know that you're not wanted.
Absolutely. It comes in. It's challenges can come in any angle. Now, some people, you got people like I'm single, but some people are married with families. So there are adjustments. Spouses want to come to town, and somebody might It could be anything,
Mm-hmm.
kids want to see you, are blossoming. Sometimes relationships, it's just, like I say, I mind what I say, I'm minding my business, do my job,
Be on
be on
time, right?
time.
Right. That's good. That's
So the
good.
plan, like some tours, they don't, it's like, no intermingling. Like, no,
Mm-hmm.
no, whoever you deal with something outside of, then some people like, you're grown. Who cares?
Yeah. Some people forget that it's still a job. It's a business,
Yes.
and either you run the business or you are employed by the business. But either way, you're in business
You
for yourself.
represent
All
it.
musicians, if you're out, everybody that's listening, once you decided to become musically hitched, you also signed up to be a business person. You signed up to be an entrepreneur. You signed up to be a sole proprietor. Whatever your chosen company structure of choice is, that's what you are, and you need to govern yourself accordingly. Both from
Good.
the etiquette perspective on the personal side is one thing, and the human relations, let's call them human, relations part of it, but also on the financial side. What financial tips? I know you're not an advisor, but you've made money on the road before, and the tour came to an end. So at one point, the checks were flowing, and then the shows came to an end, and they probably stopped flowing. How do you manage, or what would you suggest people do to lengthen the lifespan of their financial resources while on the road touring?
I would say save your money if you can. Don't splurge because these things are not promised. You could think you're on a tour for 6 months. The thing can last 6 weeks.
Mm,
Don't leave messy where you left. Don't leave them wrong. Make sure they were taken care of.
mm,
Let people know you care. Let them know, don't make it shady. Like, I mean, I might be out next week. Okay, I might be out next. No, be clear.
yeah.
Be honest, because with these days, all these devices,
Mm-hmm.
it's Natalie in Ohio. She told me she was, whatever.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I would say manage your money. They say keep your main thing your main thing.
Mm-hmm.
If you have some other opportunities, plan, don't, like, if just if you're working on a project, finish work on that, or use things to your advantage.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be in Oklahoma, and you got a few days there. We off. Maybe you could have a little whatever recording set up where you can kind of work on some projects, or if you're producing for someone, maybe you can get it in.
Mm-hmm.
But don't rely on another person for your financial.
Well-being.
I
Yeah.
mean, like, I would say God is my source.
Mm-hmm.
He provides all of these other. You use the term conduits, to make some things possible. But make sure you handling your business. If like, don't be dumb. If you were making, I don't know, let's talk play money. You were making 20 cents to stay at home, and then the tour is paying 25 cents. Maybe you should stay at home,
Hmm.
and maybe you can kind of suffice with some other little, I don't know, a piano lesson here and there, or a gig will pop up here and there, or maybe put yourself out there, like, hey, guys looking for something. Maybe you shouldn't go on the tour because it doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes the disruption, because tour you have to, depending on what you're doing before you go on tour, you'd have to stop maybe or discontinue at least those in-person things. So you're saying that sometimes if you count the cost, right, and the
Yeah,
opportunity cost of both going and not going, you may find that it's more profitable, since you're a business, to stay at home.
maybe. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I
Okay.
agree. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Or maybe or if you have someone holding you down at home, and it's like, okay, this is an investment. You have a plan. I have a plan. I have a plan. This is kind of how I foresee. And then I know we can't always foresee things that happen, but we can do our best. So if this doesn't happen, I do have this. Or, you know, I would be prayerful, of course. Like, okay, guys, what do you suggest? What- if you have whoever I'll talk to God, who other people talk to. You have a prayer life, and I'm like, okay. Because sometimes for me, I get a yes or no, and then sometimes it's like, well, you got free will. What do you think? And then I have to choose. So I look at it as door number one, number two, number three. They all lead to this path, but or they lead to this destination, but it's different paths. So it's not wrong to go. It's not wrong to stay.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh great. So I have to use wisdom. I would say my situation. Sometimes it's like, oh yeah, that was a great decision. Sometimes I'll be like, probably could have hung around here.
Yeah, that's good advice. Very, very rich advice. Um, we talked about relationships several times throughout this episode as we kind of wrap it up and bring it to a close. How would you describe the importance of building relationships? In other words, how important has building relationships and networking been to your career?
Let's see, what from February, in a span of years, February 2010 up until February 2020. That's when the last tour I did ended. Ironically, it was actually a planned end, and then the COVID season kicked in heavily. Like things were shut down mid-March. Opportunity based on relationship, based on one of my friends. There was an opening. He was like, Natalie, are you going to be open to this? And he asked me about something prior to, and I said, well, for me to leave what I'm doing now, it has to make sense. So for me, it had to be a double or triple type situation. And it was, I can recall, it might have been a quadruple situation. So it was easy. Like I said, I ain't leave for 25 cents and I was already making 20 cents. Mm-hmm. This might have been, so I guess in those terms, I'm making 90 cents opposed to the 20 cents. So it was a no-brainer for me. But it was based on the relationship. And then someone else in the band, because I think the first tour I did, we had I think it was a 9-piece band. So someone else vouched. I thought, yeah, I know Natalie. And what if they been like, oh no, don't bring her in here.
Right.
So be due to relationships, prior business, musical relationships, friendships, I got the okay. And they took a chance. Mm-hmm. So I'm meeting Tyler Perry in the prayer circle before the show. If I owe you, Natalie, you're the new, what was I playing? Keyboards? Organs? I said, yeah. Okay. All right, let's pray. So, because he's trusting he's trusting Ronnie. Right. And Ronnie's trusting Justin. Justin's, trusting me. Right. And I'm trusting, Justin and Michael Burton, like people throwing their names, saying, okay. Melvin Jones, they're like, oh yeah, she's good.
Right. So in order to stay musically hitched, you got to not just manage your money and manage your space, but you've basically been talking about for some time now, managing your reputation. So you got to think about how you treat people. And you also talked about leaving well a few minutes ago. You talked about don't leave people in a situation, even if the tour ends prematurely, earlier than you thought, you can still leave well, no matter what situation it is. Correct?
Yeah. Yes. What I've learned, like the bigger values that work across the board are typically those values that work across the board. Personal relationships, business relationships, I would say friendships, it's the same thing. You don't treat anybody any kind of way. You treat people like you want to be treated. They're pretty much biblical values. Mm-hmm. For me, it's like, so it's not hard. It's not, but I mean, life can be challenging, but someone, just say like on a smaller scale, let's say if you're ordering food from a fast food restaurant. You can't be nasty with the person at the drive-through window telling her, I didn't order no chili cheese fries. You gotta be like, hey, I think I would, kind of, treat people with respect. Because you don't know what sis is about to do when she sends those chili cheese fries back. Or stuff you go to a big, I guess people not doing as much these days, but you walking into a building, be cool, you be nice to the receptionists.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna need them. Or, you taught, be cool with the cafeteria lady. These people who you need, the janitor, they might be able to watch your car. Somebody on the corner. Hey, I'm parking right here. Is this cool?
Yeah.
Or the flight attendant. It go into which where you should apply these principles.
Yeah.
It
Right.
just, they're pretty much everywhere proof. I guess I can word it that way. Across the
Hmm.
world. So that's what I think.
In this business, that's one of probably I wouldn't call it a best kept secret, but it seems to be a secret to some people that the gatekeeper is the keeper of the gate. They know what's on the other side of the gate, and so they know the person that's on the other side of the gate. And most people are so concerned with getting on the other side of the gate that they
That's
forget
good.
that that person they hired or selected or handpicked the gatekeeper. So if you make friends with them, or if you're at least respectful to them when they're evaluating who to give opportunity to, the gatekeeper's in that room.
Want to add, like, be genuine too, be authentic, don't, you don't have to be fake, like be yourself, like be comfortable. And I know these days everybody's not comfortable being themselves, but that's something to consider, like, be okay with being authentic. People can see through that. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's also turn off for some people. Like, I don't, I don't want him.
Too much, right?
He's doing too much. Yeah. It's,
Good stuff. What advice would you give to an 8-year-old girl or boy today who aspires to become the Natalie Ragins of tomorrow?
I say continue to, strive to be the best. I don't know, Billy or Betty you can be.
They got a name now.
I give them a name. Little Keisha. I don't know. Little Jason. I I'd say don't give up. Practice. If you feel that it's something, because people know, kids, it's different. Like some kids know, like at a super young age,
Hmm.
and all we need is an adult to, because we hit on it. All we need is an adult to, what's the word, affirm, or a big brother or a cousin to affirm us, and we're out. That's all we needed. I would encourage them or encourage you, little Billy, Sarah, little Betsy. I would encourage you.
Yeah, listen up
You
out there.
know, it's a digital age we're in. YouTube some people you admire. I was told, someone said, if you admire somebody and you can't get into reach, go check out the Instagram pages or the Facebook pages or their Snapchat pages or their TikTok
Hmm.
pages. It's just someone, admirable, and kind of, see if it's something, you can see, look at their practices. What books are they reading? How are they with people? And you might find out, oh, I don't think I like following this man. So, I don't know. I would say, research.
Hmm.
Our parents are pivotal to a lot of our, moves and a lot of our dreams. Be as you mentioned an adult, like what would you have reached at if Michael hadn't been there? Yeah, absolutely. But we also have some things in us. I put up an Insta story, I think it was the Hawks, and I have a little comedy on me, and I put in it, "Believe in yourself" from the Wiz. So the song is super dramatic. That's a real statement, though. Believe in yourself. Like, you
Yes,
want people to believe in you, you got to believe in yourself.
got to. That's right.
If that helped any, that's what I would say.
Awesome, awesome. Believe in
Kind of,
yourself.
yeah, believe in yourself and gravitate to people who have you in their best interest. You know, no phoniness. Authentic you. They have your, I guess, say your best in their best interest,
Hmm.
your needs, and they want to take time out. And you can feel that when people genuinely, they care.
Yeah, always, always. So, what are you working on now? What projects or opportunities might you be willing to share with us that you're excited about, and what's next?
I on my own album at a snail pace. Got to work on that. I have 3 singles that are out. Worship and Praise, Walk With Me, and Mighty Fortress.
Mm-hmm.
You can go to any of your musical digital music outlets and you can see them. I'm grateful for having a lot of production opportunities. And if you're going to visit my website, you can see quite a few of the projects that I have worked on, or you can go to my Instagram page and I have a few little posts
What's
that
your
show me
website?
playing.
What's your website?
My
Natalie?
website is my first and last name, NatalieRagins.com. NatalieRagins.com. Very simple.
And your social media?
Then my social media, Instagram, Natalie Ragins. I did a switch of Facebook, Natalie Ragins. Twitter, Natalie Ragins. I want to say Snap is still Natalie Ragins. Snapchat, TikTok, Natalie Ragins.
Mm-hmm.
So and I have a link on my Instagram in my bio. You can just, hit I think it's called Linktree. And it'll take you to like Apple Music, iTunes, whatever is available, Amazon. So hopefully that covers any, how can I reach you questions.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you're everywhere, literally.
You're
all over
kind.
the internet, social
No, I'm
media.
not.
And you might be, and we might see you in the airport. We might just see you anywhere on the planet Earth.
I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the opportunities God has provided. I promise I am. And that's what's going on with me now. So stay tuned. I'm still trying to figure out. I should be trying to figure this out. If it's going to be an EP, or am I going to just throw out another single? That's what a lot of people are doing now, just throwing out singles. I'm doing an EP or just do the full album.
Mm-hmm.
So
are you writing and producing everything on the project?
Most.
Okay.
Pretty much all of my singles I've written and produced.
Okay. And will this be will this be instrumental? Will it be vocal combination?
Combo.
Okay.
Most, the plan was instrumental. So Walk With Me is instrumental. Worship and Praise is actually just, I would say, my gospel with a touch of jazz, Afro-Cuban jazz, kind of a Chick Corea backdrop feel. Mighty Fortress has more of like kind of little Yellow Jackets, Meat Chick, a little. Worship and Praise is that's the gospel, but it has the little Afro-Cuban rhythms on it. Walk With Me is more of me playing.
Okay.
I would say. I mean, I'm playing on all of them, but it's not singing. And Mighty Fortress just has more of a little humming, a melody. But Worship and Praise, they singing lyrics, and they're going. Got a bridge, a vamp, and got a little music moment at the end. So just having fun. Various styles will be featured on this album. So
Well, it has been a pleasure to have you, Natalie. You are a wonderful person. Your musicianship speaks for itself. I totally can see why you've had the opportunities that you have and the ones that are coming and that are on the way. We're excited about that. I am more than willing to support you in any way that I can, of course, and thank you for supporting us here by being present for Musically Hitched. I know our listeners have gained a lot of wisdom. If they were listening, they got it, from one ear to the other. So thank you again for joining us today.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me, Zach.
Absolutely. Supporting this podcast is easy. Just hit the subscribe button. See you on the next episode.